Hello, this is Shane with Healthcare Manager's Playbook, and today we're going to talk about episode 7 out of 12 in the series of things I wish I knew before I was DTO. The topic today is that learning improvements will take longer than you expect. So as clinicians, we get very used to seeing immediate change with our patients. We can have a patient come in that might be in pain, and we can do some manual techniques and help to relieve that pain, reduce that pain, or even get rid of that pain, often in just one visit. And we start to thrive on seeing quick change in patients. It could be a vestibular patient where we take them through repositioning, and they came in dizzy and they leave and they feel tremendously better. So after months and years of seeing this over and over again, when we get promoted into leadership and management, we can erroneously expect to have the same speed of impact. And I just wish I would have known earlier on in my journey that we needed to have more resolve, more persistence, more patience as we try to change things within our new departments. So I think Jim Collins is one author that talks to this. I'll talk about a few others and then I'll give some examples. But Jim Collins talks about a 20-mile march. And that's not a half-mile march. It's a 20-mile march on purpose because it is a symbol of something taking a long period of time. And in addition to just that distance, it's day after day after day. So when we lean into an effort, whether it's a change effort or an initiative or trying to build culture, and we lean into that day after day and continue to reinforce the same message, continue to try to steer our department on that same journey, it starts to take hold. But it's not immediately, it takes time. You might go, why does it take so much time? Because culture and the attitudes and the feelings in your department, they aren't as quick to change as getting rid of pain or getting rid of dizziness. We sometimes have to have time to give feedback and to coach and have conversations and to give annual reviews and to work to hire the right fit and the right temperaments for the department before we really start to see that culture begin to shift. And that can take months, it can take years. It's just not instantaneous. So be patient, don't get discouraged, realize it's going to take some time. Another author that talks about this is Malcolm Gladwell in The Tipping Point. And the idea there is that with the sustained effort and energy and input over a period of time, at one point you'll see outsized returns. And that point doesn't mean that we continue to add any higher or bigger amounts of effort and energy. It means that persistence finally hit an inflection point, and now we see things start to improve. And then the last author, and he's not quite, well, he does have entree leadership, but Dave Ramsey he talks about it took him 10 years to become an overnight success. And a lot of people only see the overnight part. They don't see the time period that led up to that overnight success. And we can experience that same thing when we take over and manage and lead a department. So a few examples that rang true for me when I was director was, number one, we created a department playbook. And that meant that when something came up that we had to solve, whether it was a problem or a situation, and we came up with the best approach to solve that, then we wrote it down in the playbook. When we had to tackle the same procedures or the same processes, and for example, making schedules or adjusting caseloads and staffing, we would go through the same things day in and day out. So we wrote them down step by step in the playbook, so that way we wouldn't accidentally leave something out. If we left something out, it meant somebody would have a bad day. If we gave out a caseload file and it didn't have appointments for the next day on it, for example, people would make their schedules and then the next day come in to find out there was actually appointments, and now they got to rework and rechange, and that just created a lot of frustration because of the lost time and the hassle factor involved in that. But because the playbook was something that really was a work in progress, or almost like when we came up with a better way, we would go back in and adjust that playbook. When we got a new hire and we went through onboarding, we would use the playbook, and if there were any points that were confusing or they had questions about, we would get clarification and we would improve that playbook so that way the next person that onboarded would have clearer objectives or clearer instructions, and that ambiguity slowly got worked out of the playbook. So fresh eyes, new ideas, better solutions. That playbook was a continuous improvement project for us over a several year period. Another example, and this is more in the role I'm in now, but we have put a big investment into robotic assisted gait devices. And at the very beginning, we erroneously thought that this would be a quick and easy adoption. Soon realized that that was not the case. And the effort and energy that we continue to invest into that program, we're starting to see that tipping point take off. And it wasn't until we had that consistent, that daily push over a long period of time that we started to see the benefit of those efforts. So I share this with you just to encourage you not to get discouraged. I know when I first became director as well, my first sales call, if you will, my first time outreaching and going out to physicians' offices, I thought, wow, here come the referrals. They're just going to start flooding in now. And then when they didn't, I got a little bit discouraged. But I talked to a mentor that was in sales for his profession. And as we got discussing, he said, well, Shane, how many times did you go to the office and try to build relationship? I said, well, I just went there one time. I don't want to bother him. And he kind of chuckled and he said, it takes 5 to 6 visits in relationship building opportunities before he ever asked for business from a customer. So I was expecting to get everything on one visit because I was coming from clinician mode of instant results, early returns, not realizing that there's a roadmap and a expectation that it's going to take 5 or 6 times before somebody will feel comfortable starting to send you referrals. And I'm sure there's probably variation in there, but that was his message for me. It helped me to feel a lot better and to retool my mentality around that. So that's what I'm hoping, is that this will help you feel better, help to retool your mentality about how quickly you can influence and impact change. And just be patient. It's worth the ride. It's worth the wait. It's worth the effort. And it is more of a marathon than a sprint. So hydrate up, buckle in, and enjoy the ride. So that's it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in, and hope to catch you next time on Healthcare Manager's Playbook. Thank you.